Please don't bite me. Just know you're gonna bite me. You're too big.
This is a fairly quick and dirty thought having to do with horror movies, among other things, but including agendas, programming, normalization, Tavistock Institute, horse shit. 80s horror movies. Some of you guys might have grown up with some of this. Some of you guys might be familiar with some of these. At least I'm banking on you being familiar with some of these. And keep in mind, a lot of these too, they weren't terribly clever. And the same thing applies to what I'm complaining about. It's less than original. What shook out? And I'll rattle them off in a second. I think I'm only going to give you 4 examples. One of them is from the 60s, off the top of my head. The other 3 are all from the 80s, as far as I recall. And I think the earliest of them would be the one with Michael Caine, but I might be wrong. We'll find out as we go if it gives me the years, or maybe I'll just ask it. So in this case, all of these have to do with, and keep in mind, spoilers if you haven't seen them. It has to do with cross-dressing horse shit. Yeah. Some of you guys probably know what I mean when I said Michael Caine. Dressed to Kill. What year did it come out? There you go. And there is a neat scene towards the end of the movie. It's kind of neat. The very, very end of the film. It's something I hadn't seen done in that way before. And I'm not talking about the cross-dressing. But it was a dream sequence as well. Again, spoilers. Another one on this list, which I think came next, crudely speaking, would be, let's see. What year did Terror Train come out? Oh, same year. I didn't look at the month, so either way. And this stars none other than, and this is another one of these movies where I swear they're just fucking laughing at us, but Jamie Lee Curtis, who I'm pretty fucking sure is a dude. But that's not who the killer is. It's somebody else who's cross-dressing throughout the film. Again, spoilers. It also has a cameo by, what's his name? David Copperfield. I met that guy. He was a piece of fucking garbage. I used to work backstage at a theater, and unfortunately I met him, and his tricks are tricks. It's a joke. He was transporting people to a desert island, and in the basement they built a desert island. It was pretty fucking funny. Either way, that guy was a dick. Relevant to this conversation, sort of. The last one on the list, I really enjoy this one in particular. I like Terror Train, to be honest, but people knock it. I think my least favorite of these 3 is Dressed to Kill, to be honest. But that's also because Michael Caine just plays Michael Caine. He's just a Zionist puppet who doesn't have a lick of talent in him. But people praise him. What do I know? Sleepaway Camp. This shit's pretty fucking good, to be honest. As rotten as it is, as bad as the acting is, it's a B movie in so many fucking ways. It's campy as fuck, bad pun, but also on the mark. And of course, the ending and what have you, with cross-dressing. If one of these did this, it would be kind of neat. This happened again and again and again and again and again if people were paying attention. This is a lazy trope and or a theme and or propaganda. If you look around today, it is a propaganda piece. If you're paying attention, you'll hear shit like this. You'll see shit like this in the goddamn movies. I can't remember who did this, but I'm stepping outside of this for a moment, thinking about bank heist movies. Dog Day Afternoon, which has to do with getting the money for a sex change operation. Not all these are going to relate in that regard, but I am going somewhere with this. But I was also thinking of Heat, Point Break, Reservoir Dogs, just to rattle off a few. Bank heist movies. There's quite a few. Some of them suck a donkey's dick. Some of them are worthwhile. Either way, naturally. But the one in particular I was thinking of, there's a song in it. and I don't know who it is because I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the soundtrack, but it is propaganda if you listen closely. Sugar and Spice movie, what year did it come out? So this stuff. So back in 2001, which also syncs up with something you guys probably are familiar with. Let's look up the soundtrack. Sugar and Spice movie soundtrack. Maybe we can spot it based on the title. Maybe. I'd rather float could be it. She's so huge, probably could be it. Let's rub back. None of those seem like it. The lyrics are something along the lines of, I don't want to be a boy, I want to be a girl. Shit like that. It's so on the nose, it's not even funny. It's more than 3/4 of the way through the film, if memory serves me. And whoever wrote that, it's questionable. Again, based on what we're living through right now, all of this shit should come up because this is fucking programming. But no one is concerned with this. It's just as good as kids taking to. They didn't question this. But they say the word cringe now because that's what people do. They're following along. They're following the leader, walking in lockstep, as I often, rattle off. They're not thinking for themselves. They're not coloring outside the lines. They're not creative in any form or way because they are not thinking for themselves. Just pay attention. How many people are doing the same fucking thing? Kids right now online are saying, nice try, Diddy. If you go to comment sections, you're going to see that a lot. If it's an advertisement, you're sure as shit going to see that. I don't like to gamble, but if I were to gamble, we could bet money, and I bet you that would be the fucking case. A very, very good chance. I want to know what this is now, though. Sugar and Spice soundtrack lyrics. I don't want to be a boy, I want to be a girl. Will it bring it up? Papa don't preach. No. Motherfuckers. Give me a second. I have the film handy somewhere. I'm going to fucking find it. By the way, going back to 2001, they say fag, they say retard, they say shit like that in this film. And people freak the fuck out now. Even though we do still have fags and we do still have retards, because those are things that reflect reality. Just a thought. I mean, it's relevant. Dressing it up as something flowery that it's not is censorship. It's another way of doing it. Chastising people and or flat out censoring them online for saying things that do reflect reality is censorship. I also understand that shit does run the risk of a bunch of other stuff too. It can get wildly fucking out of hand. And I mean, there's that also. And it is a fucking issue. It's a relevant issue, especially if it does come to violence and blah, 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 blah. But then that also is a slippery fucking slope now, isn't it? In terms of checks and balances. You ever heard of gay bashing? Well, when that shit was happening, people weren't fucking running around with a bunch of cross-dressers and trying to talk to the children. Just saying. Just saying. That shit wasn't being pushed when that was a bigger thing in terms of quote-unquote society. And sometimes I think about that. I don't want anybody to get the shit kicked out of them, but some people do need to be punched in the fucking face and set right. It's crazy. It's crazy. And what I'm complaining about right now, while we wait for it to get to that point, what was I looking at? There was a post the other day where people were complaining about dudes these days have the testosterone level of a 70-year-old is what it claimed. But what no one was addressing is the fact that the environment and our food supply has been weaponized to such a degree that the environment and our food supply is oversaturated with fucking estrogen. That's a contributing factor and something that was relevant to the post that people were superficially, jerking each other off with. It's things like that should come up. It's things like that that should be common knowledge, but they're not. You see the wartime flag of the District of Columbia? This might be the scene. No, it's later, I think. Maybe. Hold on. We're going to try it. What I was going to rattle off real fast is try having a conversation with somebody who flies the American flag. I did this the other day, and this old man was so mad at me. He honked his horn at me because he didn't want to think about it because he wasn't familiar with any of it, and he believed in something else. He was flying an American flag. He pulled up next to me while I think I was waiting for a bus. And so I was like, I'll take it upon myself to have a conversation with this asshole. But he didn't want to do that. He was deeply offended by the fact that I wanted to talk to him about facts instead of fucking adult fairy tales. I'm going to clip this one more time for all the copyright issues. I have so many videos already flagged, but one moment. It's funny when you're looking for something and what a pain in the ass it is to locate it. Simply because you're looking for it. This is the song in question. I can't find it in the movie. I'm struggling. It's late, but who knows? I'm just struggling. Here are the lyrics. And in particular, what I was focused on at the very top. I don't want to be a boy. I want to be a girl. What the fuck? What in the everlasting fuck? Less than subtle, right? Less than fucking subtle. There are people out there that won't take an issue with this, I'm sure. And I'm sure there are people that like this fucking song and or this band. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was 3/4 of the way through the film. And I thought they were sitting around planning the heist and or they were celebrating after the heist is when I thought it was. Maybe I just fast forwarded past it both times, being impatient. That is in my nature, as some of you know. Where's that? Let's see. It's a really good song. There's a ton of these films, but I also didn't mention this because it's from the 60s. Psycho. I mean, Norman Bates and all that crap, dressing up like his mom. That stuff. In other words, it's been in the programming longer than some people realize as well. It's relevant.